Everybody, welcome to Town Hall. Thanks for joining us today. We had some more storms because it's Chicago, so we have to do that. Pam, I understand you had a little bit of an adventure.
33 hours in Lake County, Indiana without power, and 90% or 85 to 90% of the county is still without power. I am lucky and restored after 33 hours. So yeah.
That's it must be 10 or 15 years ago. We were without power after an ice storm for 9 days.
Oh no.
Oh my
Ooh,
goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I actually
in the
lost a
cold.
patient who decided that they would ride out the storm by
Mm.
just curling up in bed and staying warm, which worked, but he got kidney failure
Oh
Oh my
geez.
eventually.
God.
And then that took him out. He
Oh my
survived D-Day,
goodness.
but not that ice storm.
Not the ice storm. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that something?
Well,
Yeah.
they're saying that this could go out till this coming Tuesday before everybody gets power. So it's
Wow.
not a good situation here. So I feel
That
lucky.
is. That is. Uh, and the storm came through North Chicago here, and but everything seems to, things held up this time. So, um, everybody else do okay in the storm? Heather,
Yeah.
George?
Lake County, Illinois, I feel like we were okay.
Yeah,
We
Yeah. Mhm.
got a little wet, a little more wet, and a lot of branches and things blew down. But yeah, power was solid, and it's nice that we haven't had much of a hiccup here on campus.
Mhm.
It's great seeing all the students on campus, and these early days of the school year for some.
It is fun. I got to hang out in the cafeteria a little bit yesterday, saying hello to people. Um, yeah, anyway, it was cool. A lot of nice energy. So that's enough about like a small talk. We'll get started. We always start with small talk, right? As people join
Mhm.
and so anyway, I think that the main thing for the last couple of weeks, we didn't do town hall last week because of white coat ceremony, a couple of them, which were great fun. So it was wonderful to see people and their parents and families and putting on white coats and getting into the swing of things. And certainly the halls are much more lively with everybody in person now. Well, the half of our students who are on campus. I did get to make a visit to Advocate Christ this week to visit with some of our students. I got to talk to a whole range of students. We had nurse anesthesia students come and talk, and podiatry resident and medical students, and it was great to hear what their experiences have been in the clinical education. About half of our students at any given time are off in clinical rotations, not here on campus. So I think it's one of the important things that we pay attention to. And it was great to go meet our clinical partners. It's a complicated world for those folks now as Medicaid cuts come in, particularly with the start of the next year, as well as ACA cuts. It's going to be an interesting time for our clinical partners. This is one of our largest classes. I don't want to go too far back in history because I don't know that, but we matriculated a lot of people, so that feels really good, especially when you take a look around the country and see institutions that are struggling with that. And I just really appreciate all the work our faculty, our staff do, the folks in strategic enrollment management and figuring this out. But it all comes to the quality of the programs, which is our faculty and our staff making a great experience for students. Um, our next, I spent some quality time this week working on prep for the board meeting, which is in about a month. I'm talking to individual board members. We're trying to sort out what our educational program will be for the board members. There are two things that we know we're going to do. We're going to talk about today's topic. We're going to talk about fundraising and philanthropy and the board's role in that. And I know we'll also be giving them an experience up in the virtual health system as it will be opening about that time. And then I think we're going to also be doing a whole potpourri of things on how loans work and federal compliance and a range of things like that. But that's the sort of work that we're going through, committee assignments, that kind of thing. It was a lot of fun to welcome Senator Johnson to campus this week. So I got to talk to her a little bit about RX Kids, which of course is Cash for Moms and Babies, which is a life-saving program developed in Michigan. Literally life-saving, like the neonatal mortality dropped by 50% in that program. So that's a great thing to talk about. But then also we got to show her the healing gardens over with the clinic, Jeff Espina and his crew. Um, and a sailor who works so that there are veterans that go there. And thanks to the state, we will get an expansion of that program with a hoop house and some space for faculty and students and staff and veterans. And as a gardener, I am looking forward to that. And then I also had a chance to meet with the Senate Council, talk about some of their concerns, their interests, and really importantly for me, get to ask them some questions, how they think faculty are thinking about various issues that the university faces. So I really appreciate Paul Hung and the whole crew there for the counsel that they give. Academic governance is one of the things that makes universities in this country run, and I appreciate the great work of our Senate Council and our faculty. And that's my update. As always, I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got, so feel free to put questions into the Q&A. But I have been spending a lot of time thinking about fundraising and what that means to an institution like ours. We have a nice endowment, and which is historical, but that endowment throws off about 5% of our operating expenses or operating revenue. And at peer institutions, it's probably closer to 12%, which means that we have some work to do. And in many ways, that represents the transformational opportunities that we have. So ways to create scholarships that support students, endowed professorships to help us retain, recruit, and support faculty, support for programs like the ICC and the Child Advocacy Center and other things that we do for the community that really we don't want student tuition paying for, but really philanthropy should be helping us with. And then, of course, there's space. So we are trying to figure out how to have more student study space and better space for some of our programs and wellness. And so all those kinds of things. So George, I don't know if there's anybody I spend more time with actually at the university. Between you and Pam, pretty much every trip that I've taken, one of you is there. So, but I appreciate you guys putting your heads together to talk to folks about fundraising and institutional advancement. And I'm going to turn the screen over to you.
Thanks, Aaron. And with me today, as you can see by nameplates, Pam Lowe and Heather Truffer, my colleagues from institutional advancement, who will be speaking with you all as we go through this. We have, so maybe to start, I shouldn't assume that anyone knows me or us, and that's where we're really moving forward. We thought that it'd be worthwhile sharing a little bit about who we are and then what we as institutional advancement do here at RFU, some of our victories and things we're proud of, and then some of the things that are coming down the pipe, share some stories, and then also offer some opportunities if you all want to get further connected with us or learn a little bit more. That's kind of what we're going to do. Got a few slides that we'll show, but nothing too heavy, but those will come in a minute. But starting, it's been my privilege to serve here at RFU for 10 years. Currently I'm the interim vice president for institutional advancement. And that has been a real privilege for me. I get the opportunity to work with a fantastic team in the Division of Institutional Advancement. And I've been able to partner with so many of you, faculty, staff, administrators. We've met students, we've met alumni over that time. And we've been able to do some really good work, building partnerships and raising philanthropic support. It is an interesting thing. We always we need more, right? And so it's good for us. We need to raise more. We will always be busy, but we hope to do that. And we'll talk about some of those projects that we've been able to put in place or help fund with, and some of the projects that we will be working on in the future. But that being said, I want to talk just really briefly about what institutional advancement is. I know everybody has a thought, and many of you come from different places where, you know, as many places as there are is probably a different definition of institutional advancement. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what it is and then what it is here. First off, institutional advancement is an administrative division here that coordinates fundraising, stakeholder engagement, and communications. That's in general sense of what it does. Here, we are a centralized division. So we work under the university umbrella, and we work in partnership with many other groups to enable us to do the things that we are doing to do that advancement work. We partner with, here we have marketing division, we partner with marketing, we partner with finance, we partner with strategic enrollment management. We do all those things to do those things that I mentioned, engage, raise philanthropic dollars, etc. What I'd like to do is share this because, you know, it certainly isn't something that I do alone. I want you to meet virtually the advancement team. And this is a slightly dated picture. One of our former employees is in it, but Aaron and Lee Concha are who we report to is here. And most of the team is in this picture. So it was the best we had, and so I'd share that, our best, most recent picture. There are 17 of us, and we do a number of things. Certainly, I mentioned philanthropy, and we'll talk about that in its different phases. Engagement, both stakeholders, external, as well as engagement with our students. We'll talk about that as well. We also manage our permanent alumni database. And so there is a team here who also, our advancement services team, has that great honor and sometimes challenge of keeping 22,000 people and their records current and as up to date as possible. This is the team, and I'm not going to read off everybody, but I hope that in retrospect, you can see this and refer back to this if you're ever looking for who might be the person, might be my contact. As a central division, we connect with, okay, there we go. We connect with
Hey George, could you go back one and just talk a little bit about what leadership giving people do and what stewardship and advancement services are? Just like, what are those divisions?
Sure. No, I appreciate that. You'll see that there's some broad categories. The first is our individual, in no order, our individual and plan gift team. And they, Mary, Emily, and Gary, and they work specifically with individuals, alums, and others to invite philanthropic support, work with our engagement team to move that forward, and try to raise philanthropic dollars to support our strategic priorities from the mission.
Yeah, they're the people who ask folks for money, right?
That's what they're the people who ask for money. Yes.
Right. When I'm going to visit a donor, you know, one of these people has, you know, been working with those folks over time. Generally, you're in that pile too. So is Pam and others. But like, more or less, right? We have people who are assigned to potential donors, and they're the people who are sort of responsible for the relationship.
Absolutely. And Gary also has the additional opportunity or being our in-house expert in estate planning. So plan giving fits into that too. So not only in life, but future giving as well. The Stewardship and Advancement Services team under Stephanie Geyer does many things, one of which is manage that permanent database of our alumni. And when we talk about, well, and it's not just alumni, it's alumni and stakeholders. So friends of the university, students who matriculate through, and then also our residents. We have four,
Quite a
five.
few.
Yeah, a number of residencies.
Plus fellowships.
And fellowships as well. So those we count as alumni as well, or alums of the program. They manage that. They also manage the data needs of what we do. So it's one thing to have a list of 22,000 people. It's another thing to be able to try to turn that list into something usable. For example, if we're going to an area to visit, who lives in the area? Who might we gather? Those kind, and if we're looking for particular specialties to support a speaker series, a student initiative, we're able to pull those out in that way. That's supported by the Advancement Services and Stewardship team. This is also the group that receives the dollars, the donations, and ensures that they work in partnership with finance, that they get put into accounts for gifts that are restricted. They get spent as they're intended. So that is a busy team, as all the team is. But that's kind of what that group does. Heather and her stakeholder engagement team. Since she's here, I will let her speak to what they all do.
Yeah, I mean, we are all about creating touch points that make our alumni and our friends and our donors feel proud and connected and involved. We work to make sure that folks know what our priorities are, and those folks that are in alignment with those priorities, we help move towards, hopefully, philanthropy. It's not always philanthropy. It's time, treasure, and talent. It could be connections, and it could be expertise. But we are working to get our stakeholders engaged with the universities to help drive those priorities forward. And then I have a couple folks on the team. There's Sarah Klein. She's the Director of Stakeholder Engagement. She really drives strategic alumni connection and programming. Jennifer Kusick. She bridges the gap between our current students and our alumni network. Kelly Reese, preserving RFU's history, connecting, past with present. And then Debbie Williams is our Director of Impact Giving. And she helps to translate alumni and friends who are in alignment with our mission to annual support for the university.
Great. And thanks, Heather. And Pam, our Executive Director of Development, who also manages our corporate and foundation work, amongst other things. So Pam, why don't you talk a little bit about what your group does, you and your group?
Yeah. I couldn't be more lucky, having been here 10 years and working with a fabulous team. First, Shella Blue, who's been here for 12 years and has an amazing, or 14 years, sorry, and has amazing relationships with a lot of our key corporate and foundation funders. And then Lizette Hernandez, who is, Shella and I were able to put forth a position of an associate director of corporate and foundation relations, and she is just the most brilliant and wonderful person to work with. And what we do is team of three. We manage 52 relationships with corporate and foundation current and prospective funders. Collectively, we research corporate and foundation prospects, manage philanthropic grant writing and reporting. We coordinate proposals with key faculty and staff and work with finance to track spending to make sure we're good stewards of the money. We engage with funders through arranging site visits and meetings, which Erin, you participated in one of those site visits on Monday. So I like doing that and bringing people to campus because showing off campus is, that helps a great deal in terms of what we do and connects funders with us. We organize outreach efforts targeted at external partners through curated events, such as our Health Equity Breakfast. We support RFU's Bioinnovation Speaker Series. That's something that Lizette has been manning for quite some time with Michael Rosen, the director of Helix 51. I'm not going to get into the liaison role because I know George has another slide for that, but I just want to let you know that our portfolio is organized by relationships because Shella has been here for 14 years. She has 14 years worth of cultivated relationships. So her activity is mostly with those that have a longer history. And then Lizette and I have been cultivating the newer relationships because we still have to keep growing and finding new sources of revenue. So pending a relationship, we're kind of a little messy portfolio. We might both be working with the community care connection. It might be me on one project or Shella on another, but so we always try to, work with our partners across the university and let them know who does what all the time. So that's us in a nutshell.
Thanks, Pam. And again, an amazing team that I'm lucky enough to work with, and we've really got some strong professionals here. Pam mentioned our liaison relationship, and I mentioned how we're structured, right? I said we're a centralized development office. And that might be different if some of you went and had experience at other academic medical centers or colleges or that sort of thing. Some places have individual shops per college or program or that sort of thing. That's not how we're structured here. The Division of Institutional Advancement is here to move forward the strategic plans of the university. Because we sit at sort of the university level, we want to make sure that we are responsive and connected to all our different programs. So we have developed over time a liaison relationship to the different colleges and some of the significant programs, many of which are listed here. We have other relationships and other connections, but the slide only has so much real estate on it. But for the different colleges, you can see our different liaison leads. We work in partnership on all these. So though somebody might be listed as a lead, Pam mentioned that multiple people are helping cover different things. And the same thing is here. Whether it's CHP or CMS, one of the colleges, research or Helix, the health clinics, all those things, we have a point person, but that's not the only person working with those places. We do really work as a team for most of this, but as a way to manage, somebody's got to be the namesake for this, and that's what we do. We are very busy. We help not only listen and bring back the ideas here and explore funding opportunities. We've also been able to generate and staff leadership needs for the different areas and different programs through some of the advisory councils or the leadership councils that support different programs in colleges. So these relationships, these liaison relationships are really important. The liaisons can bring back to the greater team what all's happening. So there's greater awareness of what's happening across the university, but then also directed intention and focus from the division through that person and with the leaders in these programs and colleges. So that is how we're shaped, and that is what we do. The other thing I think I'd like to address is sometimes there's some confusion about our role in fundraising, right? Contrary to some ideas. We are not a division that raises lots of money and then sits on a big pile like Scrooge McDuck or something like that, right? We are working in partnership with the university. And so we are raising dollars specifically for programs and strategic needs that the university has identified. So sometimes people will say, I need money, let's go to development or institutional advancement. And we want to help as much as we can. But again, it's not like we are sitting on a pile of money, right? We are raising money for things. Sometimes we have connections and can make special asks and that sort of thing. But in general, we are raising money for things, for people, for programs. And so when we talk about some things, and we will in a minute talk about some of the things that we have done, you'll see where the money is and how that all works. So I wanted to share some of our success stories. One of the things that has been mentioned over the years, especially recently, as we've closed it in June, our Empowering Scholars Scholarship Campaign. So clearly, we have a great need to support our students coming to and moving through the journey of medical and science education. So we launched in 2021 an effort to raise $20 million for scholarship. We're excited to say that after final shaking out of the envelopes, we've surpassed our goal by over $3 million. So $23,057,646, which is about 115% to goal. Excited, right? Lots of dollars. That's fantastic. But what's more important is kind of the impact of that. So from this, we generated 56 new scholarships across the university, 39 of which were endowed, 17 are temporarily restricted or spend down scholarships, but of a size that are named and temporarily restricted. And we were also able to renew through the course of this 6 existing scholarships that would have been spent down but have been renewed and replenished. So it's an important milestone that we're very excited about. It is just the start. This does not address the total need of our student body. We know this is a starting point, but this is really brought this period of time, this 5-year span, and especially the public span, allowed us to really turn up the volume on scholarship and why scholarships are important, the impact of scholarships in students' lives. So that was certainly a significant thing that this team has accomplished. Also over time, in recent years here, we have been funding partnerships to help grow and establish programs. From the Michael Reese Foundation Center for Health Equity Research, to our lifestyle medicine program, to our many different pathway programs. And Heather and Pam will talk about those in a second. And then we've also created programs that enhance the student's educational experience. We have built out mentorship programs that connect students and alums, professional exposure programs, opportunities to hear from different expertise from our alumni across their fields. So we have done all these things, and perhaps you're done listening to me talk. So what I'd love to do is really turn the floor over here to first Pam and then Heather to talk a little bit more and provide some details around some of these things. So Pam, if you'd take it away.
Sure. talking about partnerships and maybe how you can help maybe facilitate or help connect us with funders. We always like to involve others and leverage entrepreneurial energy to help us get our job done too. So hopefully, some of the stories I tell, just got two. And, I'm going to start off with the Michael Reese Foundation Center for Health Equity Research. And our relationship with Michael Reese came about through a former CMS faculty member and alumnus, Dr. Mildred Olivier. Some of you out there may know her. Her outreach to this foundation, seeking support for our mini medical school, turned into an invitation for a comprehensive proposal requesting support for two four-year scholarships to CMS. Operational support for our mini medical school was included because that's what she had approached them about, and startup funding to establish the Center for Health Equity Research. So I was working with Dr. Olivier. At that time, our executive vice president for research was Dr. Ron Kaplan, and of course, CMS Dean, Dean Chatterjee. So working with those three to put this proposal together. And while we didn't get funding for the mini medical school, the foundation board thought it was too long of a pathway to fund from fourth grade to graduate school. So they kind of turned that one down. But we did receive $1.3 million and broken up for the two CMS scholarships for $500,000 and startup funding for our Michael Reese Center for Health Equity Research, and that was $800,000. So since that initial grant and since that initial contact through a faculty member, we've successfully received support for 4 additional CMS scholarships and operational support for the center. We continue to steward the foundation, which also has 2 CMS alumni on their board, so that's also helpful. And we were invited to submit another proposal for the Center for Health Equity Research just this fall, for this fall funding cycle. And so we've requested operational support of $400,000 over 2 years. And so from that initial contact, and that we're talking just 5 years, we've grown from not having a relationship to having a great relationship. And so far, we've received grant funding of $1.7 million. So that was a great connection from somebody's entrepreneurial energy that then came back to us and worked with us to put all this together. So it was a really nice collaborative effort. The other one that I thought was a really great example was our relationship with Endeavor Health. And again, it's being an advocate for RFU, knowing what the needs are, and connecting us together with funders in the community. And this relationship started with a $5,000 gift in kind of flu shots we had run out, and it was for the Community Care Connection. So as a result of the Community Care Connection staff, the mobile clinic staff, reaching out to, at that time, North Shore System, because it was before they became Endeavor Health. They were at that time merging with Elmhurst Hospital. They had reached out to their community relations department and asked for additional supplies, and that started us onto a whole path with the new Endeavor Health organization. So when Elmhurst Hospital and North Shore Network came together, it created a community investment fund. And our timing couldn't have been more perfect to be elevated on that philanthropic giving screen. So a lot of things like came into place. And they really liked what we were doing on the mobile clinic by serving, also through their goals, serving the underserved, serving the uninsured, serving undocumented folks, and then, especially during COVID. So they invited us to apply for greater support. And that first gift and that first outreach, because we're short of flu shots, we need flu shots, can you give us some? Turned into now $2.4 million in support of the mobile clinic. And, that affects 2,000 patients in Northern Lake, more than 2,000 patients a year in Northern Lake County. So, I think that particular program, that particular relationship was so impactful for us. And this team, this mighty team of three, we raise $1 million annually for this really important community resource. So leveraging those relationships helps us to, connect and get that dollar in so that we can continue serving the community. I'll stop there. I could go on, but I'll stop there.
I'm actually going to take that little pause to move through some questions here. So,
Okay.
we have one from Anonymous. Is the university able to ask the Senate in these meetings able providing residents a meal stipend and educational stipend like most residency programs? And the Senate wouldn't be involved in that. That would be the hospitals. And I know that Dr. Chatterjee is on. We'll see what Dr. Misra, our Associate Dean for GME, can do in trying to figure that out. And then from Dr. Cooks, thank you for your efforts. Every day, students come to me seeking financial help. And that is something we all know, right? That is one of the key things that we're all focused on. There's a reason that scholarships are our highest priority, but also that we are working on emergency support and emergency funding. We've used, Giving Tuesdays as an opportunity to support those kinds of things. And it's absolutely one of the things that energizes us every day. David Muller, have you contacted, I'm not going to talk about individual donors. So, but I will say that we go through lists of people every week, every other week, to go through and talk about our strategy from a range of folks. If there are people that you know or think we should know about, please reach out to one of us, right? Because it's possible that we don't. And I think one of the things that maybe people don't often realize is we don't need you to ask for money. In fact, we don't want you to ask for money, right? There's a certain math and science to working with donors, and the more connections they have to us, the better. And it doesn't have to be about money, right? It can just, in fact, it's better if it's not. It's just the work that you do and your enthusiasm for the institution, and that's all we ask you to do. It's great if you let us know, because you may have information that we don't. Anonymous says, what's the difference between Helix 51 and the IRP? I used to think it was location, but Helix 51 has moved into the IRP. And so I'm going to take a stab at this. The IRP is essentially a building, for want of a better phrase. That's where our research space is. And we use that for a range of things. Some of it is our own researchers, and some of it is researchers or research or companies that are leasing space. And Helix 51, although it is a space, is mostly a program. It's sort of an incubator program where we help provide support to burgeoning businesses. So, and then Anonymous, what percentage of our staff and faculty participate in payroll deduction? I feel like I don't hear much about that. It's an easy way to give. It is a convenient way to give. It's how my family does. That's how we do our donations. And I'm sure we can cover that before we get to the top of the hour. Then Hector asks, have we tried to approach local businesses to support our pathway programs? And the answer to that is yes, writ broadly, but if there are particular businesses that you think we should be approaching or thinking about, that is where corporate and foundation giving lives. So talking to Pam and her team would be great. So questions always make this more fun. Feel free to ask more questions. And I'm going to turn it back. I think Pam was done, so I'm giving it back to George, right?
Sure. And Heather actually is going to jump in here and speak a little bit about engagement and tell a couple stories as well.
And I will say for payroll deduction, if anyone's interested in it, there is a form to be filled out through our office, then it goes through our human resources department. I don't know the exact percentage of faculty and staff that are participating, but it is growing every year. So that's good to see as well.
And there's room for more.
And there's always room for more.
Plenty of room. Plenty of room.
All right. I want to start by saying giving money from whatever our donors, our alumni, our stakeholders, usually is a step that occurs later in a journey. It's not typically the first step. And that's where engagement really is important, where we are creating these touch points We're making people feel proud. They're connected. They're involved in some way. They're in alignment with what we're doing in our mission. And with that, we have a very dedicated team working with this, but engagement is not just one person. And this is where Aaron said, maybe we don't want you asking for more for money, but we do want you to support engagement efforts by being present. It's our liaisons in AA, it's everyone working in our programs, it's our students, it's marketing, it's strategic enrollment. It's all of us working together to engage and then move folks to eventually give their time and their talent. We've been talking about university priorities and IA's work to support them. One of the main objectives of my office is supporting student success. So that's through mentorship, guest lectures, alumni panel discussions, admissions support, meaningful network, and then connections. Like we'll help to find faculty advisors who are alumni, potential preceptors. Our office comes and really does support those efforts as well. And we know that every college and program here is its own culture and has different needs. So we don't bring a one-size-fits-all playbook. We want to directly work with faculty and leadership to discover how alumni can best support the specific program goals. And so I'll talk just a brief example. We work with Show College with mentorship. Their mentorship program, their alumni mentorship program. A lot of programs have multiple mentorship programs, but the alumni-based ones, the student leadership works with our team, works with Sarah Klein, and they help to run a one-to-one alumni to student one-to-one alumni to student mentorship program. So that's what that program needs, and it works really well, and it's been going on for years. When we talked to physical therapy, Emily, the liaison, and then Sarah Klein and Dr. Nusafaro, those needs were different. And after we sat down and talked with them, they realized the one-to-one wasn't what they wanted as a program. And so we do one to a group of students, and it's virtual. And we also work with Chicago Medical School for mentorship programs with alumni. And again, that's more one-to-one, like Shoal College. So the point is we will sit down and we will talk with you and we will figure out, the alumni base and your program needs and what works best there. Another great example of how we work with the colleges and the programs, the Associate Dean for Admissions, Dr. Allison, he asked for alumni support during recruitment, and now we bring CMS alumni back as keynote speakers and panelists for Admitted Students Day. And we share and they like to share how RFU paved the way for their career success. And just a short story, right after our alumni panel at Admitted Students Day, Dr. Chatterjee and I were in the hallway and struck up a conversation with the family whose son was admitted to CMS, and talking with them, we learned that they were from the Bay Area in California. So then we mentioned, hey, we're going to be out there. RFU's coming out there, and Aaron, our new president, is coming out there. And as it also turned out, this student was also shadowing a CMS alumnus in his hometown clinic, which was wonderful. So he came to the California event and already walked into a network of alumni, met the dean, met Aaron. Fast forward to white coat ceremony, I just ran into that same family and they were beaming. They told me how special RFU is. They said that the support and the personal attention received by the CMS staff, faculty, the alumni network was more than any other medical school and what they could offer. And I think it's this type of connection overall that we just want to see. Engagement isn't an event on a calendar. It's our goal to create that strong bond and that sense of belonging even before day one, and all the way to graduation and then beyond. Because these are the types of relationships that I hear now from our alumni who are older that want to give back. They have this gratitude, this chance that, RFU or CMS or whatever program gave to them, and they have the lives that they have now because of the education that they received. So these are important moments. The work that our staff and our faculty are doing really do make a difference down the line for us in institutional advancement with these relationships. So your relationships now are so important. We can't build them in a vacuum. Donors and alumni don't give their time and their talent and their treasure because of our staff, although I think we're lovely to talk to. They really give because you all, faculty, researchers, staff, students, the programs that they graduated from. So I can't state enough how important our partnerships with you are. When you all attend events, when you speak at panels, when you host a tour of a lab, that's the connection that we cannot do alone. You are the experts. We are facilitating these connections. We also, just another quick story, we recently had Dr. Ginsburg from Chicago Medical School come to an annual event that the class of 1973 hosts. This is a group that connected at their 50th reunion in 2023. Now they get together every single year. They also came together as a group to endow a fund to support student well-being. And with that fund, it is now being used to do the support the Jumpstart program in Chicago Medical School. So I won't go into the details of the program, but having her attend and talk about the importance of the program and then the impact it has on our students, it led to additional gifts from that group since then. And that just happened in early August. So it's just wonderful to see. And then one last story and I'm done. At our reunion last year, at one of our reunions, and this is just one example of many that come out of these types of events. We had an alum and his wife attend reunion. They really connected well with faculty. Ted Boudin was there. And if you know Chicago Medical School and Ted Boudin, he's kind of a mainstay there. And then connected really well with the students and leadership as well. And then we had an event in LA and they came to that and got to introduce him to Aaron, and Dean Chatterjee was there. They actually drove from Santa Barbara to come to this and then had to go babysit their grandchildren afterwards. The event connected them even more so what we were doing here. And I think that connection with leadership was really meaningful too. And then fast forward to the present now, they've endowed a scholarship. So it just shows that just bringing it full circle, these opportunities, these touch points, it takes time. It's a journey. And eventually, when we're reconnecting and connecting with folks that are in alignment about our work and they care, good things happen from that.
Thanks, Heather. And that story you told about the student and his mom meeting and coming, that's the picture on the slide right now. So on the front row left is our M1, and his mom's on the other side because who wants to stand next to mom in a picture, right? So anyway, thanks, Heather and Pam. I want to share just two quick stories as well, and then get to kind of what's coming and how you might get more engaged, though Heather and Pam have certainly shared some ideas along the way. The first is a story of engagement and connection. So we had a Shoal College graduate call out of the blue to ask a question. We got the call, we spoke with the alumnus, and that started a conversation about student need and scholarship, leading to that alum endowing a scholarship for Shoal College, which is fantastic. During that conversation, also found out that it was his reunion year. We invited him the next day, he signed up. He and his wife showed up to reunion and had a fantastic time and surprised Dean Stephanie Wu with an anonymous $1 million challenge for scholarship. So we met that challenge ahead of it. They gave us about 2 years to complete it. We did it we met that challenge ahead of time. They were so pleased with the connection. They said, let's do that again. And so they gave us a second challenge, lift the anonymity. They added their name to it, so the Evans family, which was fantastic. And he is coming up on yet another reunion. And because of these great experiences and his connection with Dean Wu and the college and all of the people here, he just recently made yet another challenge grant to help endow another scholarship in honor of a former faculty member. So these moments and all these interactions really are important for lots of reasons. One, they allowed this alumnus to do something that he and his wife really wanted to do, but just hadn't gotten around to yet. So it provided the venue to make a difference at a place that was really important to them. And then all the connection that you and our team and all of you have put into that work allowed them to come to have a satisfying experience, to bring it back a second time, and then a third time for yet another match. So that's one thing. And then the last story that will lead into our last slide is sort of the picking up the stories of impact that Pam and Heather have shared already. We had an alum whose father was involved in was on a leadership board of a foundation, and he passed away. And the foundation wanted to make a tribute gift to him. And so because of this faculty member, that tribute gift came here. It was because of her speaking well about what we do and our mission, to get this unconnected or disconnected foundation to turn their attention here and say, yes, that makes sense, and that's going to be a wonderful tribute. So that is one thing and one way alums can really make it. Our faculty, staff, and administration can make a difference here. You can take your connections and help direct them here.
So I want to take this moment to answer the question that's there, because it actually fits with what you were just talking about, George. And Anonymous says, how might the RX Kids program, if launched in Illinois, positively impact RFU financially? And it's not. I mean, like we're not going to, our job is not to make money off of moms and kids. So and there wouldn't be a financial benefit to the university. That being said, the more that you do, the more people are interested in what you do. And the more we engage in the community around us and are useful to moms and babies, the more people are interested in our work and the more conversations we get to have. And I'll say that I get to have more interesting conversations with foundations and legislators because of the work that my folks did in Michigan and what that meant. And sort of the opportunity that, this kind of work could do in Illinois. So there's no direct financial benefit, but by doing good work, you get more opportunities and you get better relationships.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yep.
So two parts, right? How can you help, but also what's coming, right? We've talked about what we did and what's ongoing. We as a division are looking to continue and really accelerate as much as we can the engagement, the philanthropy work that is needed so desperately here for our students, for our programs, for our faculty, staff, for our place to support this enterprise. Aaron started off by saying what a great sized class we have. And just it's an embarrassment of riches, the potential here. And so we need to make sure that we are supporting them in every way we can. And so that is something that we all take on very seriously, as I know you do, but certainly the funding and engagement portion of it. So we are looking and we will be looking to grow the number and quality of engagement here with people and philanthropic support. You've heard a lot about the worst kept secret around. We're exploring a possible significant comprehensive campaign. We are currently doing our due diligence, working with a consulting partner to see what might be possible. And we're excited about that, but you'll hear more about that as that goes forward. But those are some of the big things that are on the horizon. But how can you help? That's a question. It's great. We've heard about this. We now know how you're structured. So what, right? One is be advocates for RFU. some of those stories that we told happened, and the gifts happened because people advocated for what they did and said, what about us? Look at our impact. Speak well of our collective work. You're the experts out there, right? Share those stories and speak well. Make connections. You know people. You know more people probably than we do, right? Or different people maybe. And help us expand our reach. Make a connection. I know Erin has been very busy meeting with lots of different people. Erin and others are available to have conversations. As was said, we don't want you to ask anybody for money, but you have the relationship. Make the connection for us. You know, have you met our president, Erin? Have you met our friends in IA? Have you met the dean? Have you met, right? Make those introductions. If you want, you can ride along, you know, you can come to the meeting. You don't have to, but make those connections, because then we can kind of take it from there and try to build a relationship and focus the attention around what they're interested in funding. Heather mentioned come to events. I can't overstate how important and impactful your presence is to our guests, especially our alums. They like nothing more than speaking to certainly their teachers, professors, but that's anybody to be able to say, what are you doing now? This was my experience. How do you do it? Oh, you know, hearing that kind of back and forth, they love that stuff. And also meeting our students. Heather telling the story about our student who came to our Atherton event. He was kind of king of the castle, right? Everybody wanted to see the rising new medical student and talk to him about what his experience and what his hopes are and that kind of thing. And many were offering their support. And if you need to find out about this, give me a call. So they're wonderful that way. If you have an idea, speak with us, right? We have to coordinate all of the philanthropy through our office. And our focus is on supporting the university's strategic priorities, but within that, we have helped make a lot of things possible. So if you've got an idea, if you've got a thought, I know in the question, some people said, did you ask this person? If you've got people that you're connected with and you've got a question, reach out to one of us. We're happy to answer and coordinate some things. Often, we have been talking to people that you think about, right? And so it's like, what about Abbott Labs? We should get them. Indeed. And there's a process, and we've been working on Abbott Labs and trying to build relationships, as well as some of the people you might have asked, right? There was a time when people said, what about Oprah? She's here, right? But we are looking to Heather and her team and all of us are trying to build those authentic, strong relationships that then will grow and lead to philanthropic relationships as well. I would be lapse if I didn't bring up payroll deduction. So if you want to support us, we are more than willing to help you do that. There's lots of easy ways to do it. And, you know, we all know how important the work we do here is. And the dollars might be the easiest part of that to support our time, our talent. That's the big thing. If, you know, the dollars could be the last thing. I'm not saying that everybody's in a position to do that, but if you'd like to talk about that, we are happy to talk to you about convenient ways to do that. I put our emails here. We can all be found. Just typing our names in will pop up. So I want to pause there and see if there's other questions or anything else we need to do as we're coming to the end of our time.
Yeah, we are at the top of the hour. Anonymous says, thank you for everything the team is doing to support our mission. You guys are doing a lot. And just in like 10 seconds or so for each of you, what are you excited about that's coming up? I know that there are reunions. So Heather,
yeah, that's always a big part of every year. Well, I'm excited about this new virtual health system and the grand opening that's going to be happening there. I know that that'll be coming down the line here shortly. So that's exciting. And scholarship
You,
luncheon appreciation where we get to celebrate the closing of the campaign. And then, of course, we'll be moving in. We're in the planning stages of a new campaign, but we can celebrate the one that we just finished.
and reunions. Like have your
And
colleagues.
reunions.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Pam.
This is our busy season, the fall funding cycle. So Shella, Lizette, and I are really busy writing grants. So I'm excited about learning more about uploading into new portals that I haven't learned before. So there we go.
George.
Yeah, and I'm excited. We are traveling to visit folks more than ever. Aaron and I will be in Arizona early next week to visit with alums. We'll be closing campaign prep, and all that comes from that is very exciting and energizing. So super excited by that.
Great. So I want to thank George Rattin, our interim VP for institutional advancement, Heather Truffer, Executive Director of Stakeholder Engagement, and Pamela Lowe, Executive Director for Development. Thank you guys for being here today. Thanks for all you do for us. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. Thank you for all you do to support our faculty, our staff, and our students. It is the work of people like you that make the university such a special place to be. It is Friday. I hope you get to have a weekend. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.